I just wanted to show you what it looks like today at just a little after 7 o'clock in the morning. And I just listened to the weather and they said, oh, we're not supposed to be getting any more snow today. Well, good morning. What do you think of the snow? Oosh. I think I've had enough of it. I really do. Oh well, what can you do, right? Nothing. I can't control the weather. If I could, I'd probably be a multi-billionaire or more, but I can't, so here I am, stuck with snowflakes falling on my head. Anyways, yes, I was a very good girl yesterday. I got all the laundry done except for what I was planning on doing anyways. I just put the last load in my washing machine this morning, but they were just some delicates, so they're just kind of barely doing anything, and I'll just go through the rinse cycle and get them out. And they don't even get in the dryer. But anyways, yeah, then I think what I'd probably end up doing today is working on my towels. I really should not let things go like this when it comes to laundry, but when I told you yesterday that I absolutely hate laundry, I absolutely hate laundry. Anyways, I don't know what I'm going to be doing today. I wanted to go and get some supplies that I need, like I need some paper towels, and even though I really don't use a lot of paper towels, I do like to have them for when I do need them. And I'm down to like my last roll, so I like to have, I don't like to run out before I get more. And so I don't know, I just don't know. I don't know with this kind of weather whether or not I'm going to even go anywhere. But that being said, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'm going to get in out of the cold and get this snow off my hair, and I will talk to you in a little while. Hello again, everybody. Today I decided that I'm going to make wedding soup because my husband and I really like it, and it is snowing off and on all day long again. So I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna wait. I'll go to Duran Farms tomorrow. I'll do some errands tomorrow and my husband can come with me, or at least hopefully he can come with me. If not, maybe the weather will be a little bit better. But so yeah, that's what we're making now. Wedding soup. And actually, this is my own recipe because I couldn't find a recipe out there that I liked. So a few years ago, I came up with my own. And what this is very easy, because for the meat, all you do is take 1 to 2 pounds, your choice, either ground beef or ground turkey. I am using ground beef today, and it is actually grass-fed ground beef. And you just add, and I'm only using a pound, so that's what I'll give you the amounts for the meatballs. And that is a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and a cup of breadcrumbs, along with would be 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning and 2 eggs. So if you are using, I'm going to take that back because you would only use 1 egg. I'm using 2 eggs because I'm using gluten-free breadcrumbs, and so there isn't anything to really keep that formed. It's the egg that's going to keep this little meatball formed. And literally, you're making little meatballs, little bite-sized meatballs. And I just put them in a cast iron skillet like this, and I will just go ahead and make all these little meatballs, and then I will stick them in the oven at 350 degrees and bake it for approximately a half hour, maybe a little less if they're extra small. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to get them in the oven, and then I'll get back with you on making the soup mixture. Well, guess who forgot to charge the battery for the camera? Yeah, so I am using the GoPro now. Anyways, what we're going to need for this part is, I have been running around like you would not believe. I'm actually sweating. But about 48 ounces of your chicken broth, and if you are using broth that you have canned, then you're going to need to adjust the seasoning accordingly, because mine is just chicken broth, the type you have to buy from the store. There's nothing in it but chicken broth. So for this, what we're going to use is we're going to have a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. We're going to put about a half a teaspoon of garlic powder in, and then we are going to put a little bit of salt and pepper to taste, okay? But what we're going to do now is we are going to actually just take our broth and our cooked meatballs that we just got done cooking, and that's why I really like the grass-fed. There's absolutely no grease at the bottom of this pan. Nothing. The pan just looks a little wet. That's it. And we'll put our seasonings in here, and we're going to cook this in our crock pot on high for 4 hours, which is really just like a very, very low simmer. So if you're putting it in a stock pot, which I have done, I just put it on, you know, a back burner and just let it very slowly simmer for that amount of time. When that is done, when that 4 hours is up, that's when you are going to add green beans, carrots, and peas, and corn. And you need to have frozen spinach, because it needs to be a cooked and frozen spinach. Otherwise, you're going to have to cook your spinach, which is fine. And I just use a bag of each. That's all I do. But that does not go in here until an hour, for 1 hour after this is cooked for 4 hours. So hopefully I haven't made this clear as mud. The other thing that you need is some orzo. Now, normally you could just add this to your broth and everything, but I cannot, because mine is gluten-free, and it would actually just totally fall apart. So what I have to do is actually cook this in some water, and I will add this at the very, very last minute. And many times I will only add this even into each of our bowls, because if we have leftovers, then it's just going to go to mush. But that's because it's gluten-free. If you're using the normal Italian orzo, you're not going to have a problem with it. But that's really all there is to it. So I'll show it what it looks like when it's all done. This is what the soup looks like with all the vegetables in it. These vegetables are not cooked. It's not done by any means. I just stuck them in here. But I actually am going to just go ahead and put my container here. I'll just take the crock out of this and stick it in the refrigerator, and then in the morning I will put it back into the pot then and turn it on and finish it up for Rick. But I did want to show you what it looks like, and I actually ended up adding another probably 12 ounces of chicken broth, only because my husband likes his to be a little bit more broth. So, and then plus the gluten-free orzo is really going to soak up some of that too. So anyways, I just thought I'd show you what it looks like. Good evening. I certainly hope that everybody is staying warm wherever they are at, because it's still snowing here. It really needs to stop. Oh well, What can one do? Like I said earlier, there's nothing I can do about it, but I can praise the Lord, and I can enjoy today, and that is what I've been doing. And tonight, oh, did I say that right? Tonight, I want to continue in Romans chapter 12, and we are going to look at verses 14, 15, and 16. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice, and weep with those who weep. Be of the same mind toward one another. Do not set your mind on high things, but associate with the humble. Do not be wise in your own opinion. So let's start with verse 14 that says, bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. It's interesting that Paul reminds us to bless those who persecute us. This is completely opposite of what our normal human response tends to be in such circumstances. A normal reaction wants to strike back to defend ourselves. But Paul warns us not to curse, but to bless instead. I think what we're being taught here is how fellow believers' genuine love should be displayed toward their fellow human beings. These are general attitudes and actions we're to have toward believers and even unbelievers. The first way in which to love is to be shown to our fellow human beings is that we are to bless those who persecute us. This is the same concept that Jesus taught in Luke chapter 6, verses 27 to 36. Now, verse 15 says, rejoice with those who rejoice, and weep with those who weep. This command is not as difficult as the previous verse, but still it isn't necessarily easy either, because it requires self-denial. To enter sincerely into another person's joys or sorrows, we have to take the focus off of ourselves. We have to tune in and really listen to what that other person is saying, both verbally and even non-verbally. We have to take the time to understand what they are going through. To rejoice with those who rejoice sounds easy, but it's often difficult. We naturally weep with those who weep, but envy and pride and a spirit of competition can keep us from rejoicing with those who rejoice, especially if someone thinks that they deserve the success or the blessings that the other person is now receiving. It takes selflessness and grace to truly rejoice with someone. Self is always the major problem that we battle. It can also be difficult to weep with those who weep. We feel the need to say something wise or appropriate, but we often end up saying something that we shouldn't say. Job's 3 friends did well when they sat silently with Job for a week. They got into trouble when they tried to explain to Job why he was suffering. Paul never tells us to counsel those who are weeping, but to weep with those who are weeping. And lastly is verse 16, which says, be of the same mind toward one another. Do not set your mind on high things, but associate with the humble. Do not be wise in your own opinion. Paul is not insisting here that we all think alike or agree on every issue, because that isn't going to happen in real life. Rather, he is calling us to unity based in our
our common salvation. It's our shared purpose with the gospel. It's our shared hope in Christ. His command does not suggest that we set aside essential doctrinal truth for the sake of unity, because that would compromise the gospel. The idea here is not to resist in doing lowly tasks. You know, if you see trash on the floor, pick it up. If you see your fellowship hall is overflowing with garbage in the bins, empty it. People are not beneath us. Our value is not based upon doing higher, more noble things, like somehow taking out the garbage isn't noble. We are to reach out in love and make everyone feel accepted. We are to put ourselves on the same level of everyone else. And we are supposed to be able to try to walk in our fellow believers' shoes. Walk with them when they're feeling sorrow. If you're walking in their shoes, it's not going to be hard to weep with them. So tonight's question I want to ask you is, how transformed are you with your attitude? Are you blessing those who have wronged you? Are you sympathizing with others in their joys and in their sorrows, in their hardships and in their griefs? Are you practicing humility through true Christian unity? Are you willing to do lowly jobs and to be friends with people whose economic status is lower than your own, whose educational status is lower than your own? Or are you still impressed with your own wisdom? And with that, I want to remind you, life happens. Let's enjoy it. And if you need to grow in any of these areas, go to the foot of the cross. Christ humbled himself for your sake and for my sake. For it's at the foot of the cross that you will find the help you need. And just a little shout out to my friend Tessie. I wanted to give to you just a little word of encouragement. The definition of normal is conforming to the standard or the common. You know what? The only one we are to be conformed to is Jesus Christ. So, hold your head up. Let the joy that is within you shine through, as it's very evident to me, and bless all of us with the gifts that God has given you. Good night, and God bless each and every one of you.